Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back on the 12 Days of Christmas with my review of Visions of Sugar Plums from Tales of the Third Dimension.
It's the Horror Man
season, and Santa Claus is coming round.
Tales of the Third Dimension is an obscure 1984 horror anthology film containing 3 segments and a wraparound. The wraparound features a skeleton named Igor, who sits up in his casket in the graveyard and introduces each story. He's also joined by some talking vultures. Igor's voice and pronunciation are very reminiscent of Rod Serling. Obviously, this was on purpose, since Tales of the Third Dimension is similar to The Twilight Zone. Now, in preparation for this video, I did watch this entire anthology, but I'm only gonna focus on the third and final segment titled Visions of Sugar Plums. Visions of Sugar Plums is set on the days leading up to and eventually concluding on Christmas Eve. Young siblings Dennis and Susie are dropped off at their grandmother's house by their parents who are going to Hawaii. Their parents will be back on Christmas Eve, but until then, Dennis and Susie will be staying with Granny. Their grandmother is in a motorized wheelchair, and at first she seems thrilled upon their arrival. The house is completely decorated for Christmas. Even the outside has Christmas lights and Christmas wreaths. The Christmas tree is up, and they'll be baking Christmas cookies together. Unfortunately, not long after Dennis and Susie arrive, Granny loses her pills, which results in her losing her mind. The children slowly realize something is wrong with their grandmother. At first, it's little things that give it away, like overfilling their oatmeal bowls. Then she starts talking to their grandfather, who's been dead for years. One night, Dennis and Susie walk into the room to find Granny just spinning around in her motorized wheelchair. It sounds funny, and in a way it is, but it's truly more disturbing than anything. Eventually, Granny's madness transitions into maniacal and murderous. She spikes hot chocolate with rat poison, and she begins chasing them around the house with weapons on Christmas Eve. But not before telling them the most deranged version of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" you'll ever hear. She also tricks the kids into believing their parents have died in a plane wreck. It's so mean-spirited, especially for Christmas horror. Will Dennis and Susie's parents make it back in time to save them? Or will this psycho grandmother kill her own grandchildren? Despite being obscure, those who have seen Tales of the Third Dimension seem to remember Visions of Sugar Plums the best. While I did enjoy the first 2 segments, this last one was by far my favorite. Like I said, it's at times funny, but still highly disturbing. It's Christmas-spirited and mean-spirited. There are other bizarre things that Granny does that I've left out because I don't want to spoil everything. It's pretty messed up, and the ending of Visions of Sugar Plums is awesome. Tales of the Third Dimension has been on my 12 Days of Christmas list for years, ever since I got this VHS. For one reason or another, though, I've always replaced it with something else. Well, I'm glad I finally decided to include it this year, because this was fantastic. Visions of Sugar Plums is a Christmas horror anthology segment I'm not likely to forget anytime soon. I'll be thinking about this one for a while. Have you seen it? If so, what do you think of it? Comment below and let me know. What will I review next for the 12 Days of Christmas? Check back tomorrow to find out. Until then, remember, physical media matters. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and, be kind, subscribe.